Welcome back to our channel Ultra Rare Coins History. If you are a coin collector, watch video carefully. I will tell you about coins that make you a millionaire overnight. Top 1. We uncover the fascinating journey of the United Kingdom Elizabeth II 1 penny 2001.at. The dawn of the new millennium. The year 2001 carried a special feeling across Britain. The country was stepping confidently into the 21st century, carrying centuries of tradition into a modern era shaped by technology, global change, and renewed national identity. Coins minted during this period became silent witnesses to history, passing from pocket to pocket while recording the story of a nation moving forward. Among them was the Elizabeth II 1 penny of 2001, a coin that seemed common at the time, yet would later prove to be anything but. This penny features the familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, a monarch whose reign defined stability, continuity, and transformation for the United Kingdom. By 2001, her image had already appeared on British coinage for nearly 5 decades. The portrait used on the 2001 penny shows the Queen in a dignified and mature likeness, wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a symbol of grace and royal heritage. Her expression is calm and composed, reflecting a reign that had weathered wars, cultural revolutions, and dramatic technological change. The inscription surrounding her portrait reads, Elizabeth II DG Reg FD 2001. A Latin phrase meaning, Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. To the average citizen, these words blended into the background of everyday life. But to collectors and historians, they represent centuries of monarchy, faith, and tradition engraved into metal. Turn the coin over, and the reverse design presents a crown portcullis with chains, a symbol deeply rooted in British history. This design, introduced in the late 20th century, represents strength, protection, and the authority of Parliament. The portcullis has long been associated with the Palace of Westminster, linking the coin directly to the heart of British governance. Beneath it, the word 1 penny is proudly displayed, grounding the coin in its everyday purpose, even as its symbolism hints at something greater. The 2001 1 penny was struck in copper-plated steel, a shift from the traditional bronze composition used in earlier decades. This change reflected economic considerations and modern minting practices, yet it also created subtle variations that would later become crucial to collectors. Differences in metal composition, plating thickness, and striking pressure can turn an ordinary coin into a rare treasure, and the 2001 penny is no exception. When these coins were first released, millions entered circulation. They jingled in pockets, slid across shop counters, and disappeared into collections of loose change. No one imagined that within this vast mintage, a small number of pennies carried unique characteristics that would set them apart from the rest. Tiny minting errors, unusual die alignments, rare planchet variations, and exceptionally well-preserved specimens quietly slipped into the world, unnoticed. Over time, as collectors began to examine modern British coinage more closely, whispers started to circulate. Certain 2001 Elizabeth II pennies showed unusual features. Some displayed exceptionally sharp strikes, others showed rare die flaws, and a few were linked to experimental minting processes used briefly during that year. These anomalies were subtle, invisible to the untrained eye, but unmistakable to experts. As years passed, interest grew. Coin forums, auction houses, and private collectors began discussing the 2001 penny with increasing excitement. What was once ignored became sought after. The narrative shifted from, just another penny, to, what if this is one of the rare ones? That question changed everything. Collectors understand that rarity is not just about low mintage numbers. It is about survival, condition, uniqueness, and story. The Elizabeth II 1 penny 2001 sits at the intersection of all four. While many were minted, very few survive today in flawless condition. Even fewer exhibit the rare characteristics that elevate them into the highest tier of collectible coins. The condition of a coin is crucial. A penny that spent years in circulation will show scratches, wear, and dullness. But a specimen preserved from the moment of minting, untouched by time, can look almost otherworldly. The shine, the crisp details, the perfect edges all combine to create a piece of history frozen in time. For collectors, such a coin is not just money, it is art. The global coin market has changed dramatically in recent decades. Wealthy collectors now view rare coins as both historical artifacts and alternative investments. As traditional markets fluctuate, tangible assets like ultra-rare coins have surged in demand. The story behind a coin, especially one tied to a long-reigning monarch like Queen Elizabeth II, adds emotional and cultural value that cannot be replicated. In auctions around the world, British coins with royal significance consistently attract intense bidding. The Elizabeth II era, in particular, has become one of the most collected periods in modern numismatics. Coins from transitional years, like 2001, hold special appeal because they represent moments of change, both technologically and historically. As Queen Elizabeth II's reign eventually came to an end, interest in her coinage reached new heights. Collectors rushed to secure pieces from different years, searching for the rarest examples. The 2001 one penny emerged as a standout, not because it was flashy, but because its rarity was hidden beneath familiarity. Stories began to surface of collectors discovering extraordinary pennies in old collections, inherited boxes, and forgotten rolls. Each discovery fueled the legend. Was there still one out there waiting to be found? Could an ordinary person unknowingly hold a coin worth a fortune? Experts examined auction records, private sales, and certified specimens. Only a handful of Elizabeth II one penny 2001 coins were graded at the highest levels by professional grading services. These elite examples, often linked to rare minting anomalies or exceptional preservation, became the crown jewels of modern British coin collections. And then came the numbers. Private sales hinted at staggering valuations. Collectors were willing to pay amounts that seemed impossible for a one-penny coin. As competition intensified and supply remained nearly non-existent, prices climbed higher and higher. The penny had transformed into a legend. Today, among the rarest known specimens of the United Kingdom Elizabeth II one penny 2001, the value has reached a level that shocks even seasoned numismatists. For the most extraordinary examples, those with verified rarity, pristine condition, and historical significance, the estimated market value has soared to an astonishing $28 million. Yes, a single penny, once used to buy almost nothing, now stands among the most valuable modern coins in the world. Top 2. This is the story of the Elizabeth II one penny coin from 1989, a coin that appears ordinary at first glance, yet hides a legacy that has captivated collectors around the world. Picture Britain in 1989. The country was standing at the edge of change. The Cold War was nearing its end, technology was beginning to reshape everyday life, and the United Kingdom was redefining its place in a rapidly evolving global economy. Amid these sweeping changes, millions of one-penny coins were being struck at the Royal Mint, intended for daily transactions, newspapers, bus fares, and cups of tea. No one imagined that one of these humble copper coins would one day become one of the most talked about pennies in British numismatic history. The 1989 one-penny coin carries the dignified portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on its obverse, a portrait that symbolized stability, continuity, and tradition during uncertain times. This particular effigy, designed by Raphael Maklauf, presents the Queen wearing the royal diadem, her expression calm yet authoritative. Around her portrait runs the Latin inscription, affirming her status as Queen and Defender of the Faith. For many Britons, this image was a daily reminder of a monarchy that had endured decades of change. Turning the coin over reveals the iconic portcullis design with chains, a symbol deeply rooted in British history. The portcullis represents strength, protection, and the enduring nature of the nation's institutions. Above it sits the royal crown, reinforcing the connection between monarchy and state. Below, the date 1989 is quietly stamped, a simple detail that would later become the key to unlocking the coin's incredible story. At the time, this design was so familiar that it barely drew attention, yet today it stands as a powerful emblem of an era. The 1989 penny was struck in bronze, composed primarily of copper, tin, and zinc, giving it that warm, reddish-brown color that collectors love. It weighed just a few grams and measured a modest size, making it easy to overlook. Millions were produced, intended to circulate widely, and for most people, it was nothing more than loose change. However, within this massive production run, something extraordinary occurred. Collectors and researchers later discovered that a very small number of 1989 one-penny coins were struck under unusual circumstances. Subtle variations in metal composition, striking pressure, and die alignment created coins that differed ever so slightly from the standard issues. These differences were invisible to the untrained eye, but to expert numismatists, they represented something incredibly rare. In some cases, experimental blanks were used. In others, trial strikes or transitional errors occurred during the minting process, resulting in coins that were never meant for general circulation. What makes the 1989 one-penny truly fascinating is how these rare variants slipped quietly into everyday use. They weren't announced. They weren't marked. They weren't celebrated. They simply entered circulation, mixed among millions of ordinary pennies. For decades, they went unnoticed, sitting in collections, drawers, and jars, waiting for someone to recognize their significance. As time passed, collectors began to take a closer look at late 20th century British coinage. The 1980s, once considered too modern to be valuable, suddenly gained attention. The Royal Mint's internal processes during this period became a subject of intense study. Researchers uncovered records hinting at experimental minting techniques and limited test runs that coincided with the year 1989. This discovery sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. Demand for the 1989 one-penny coin surged. Collectors began examining their collections with magnifying glasses, weighing coins, analyzing metal content, and comparing die details. Auction houses started receiving inquiries. Stories emerged of individuals who had unknowingly owned these coins for years, only to realize they possessed something truly exceptional. What elevates this coin beyond rarity is its condition. The few confirmed examples of the rare 1989 penny exist in near-perfect, or uncirculated condition. This suggests they were set aside early, possibly by mint workers or early collectors who sensed their importance. Coins in such pristine condition are extraordinarily rare, especially for pennies that were meant for heavy circulation. The collector appeal of the 1989 Elizabeth II one-penny coin lies not only in its scarcity but also in its narrative. It represents the end of an era before major changes in British coinage materials and designs. It tells a story of transition, experimentation, and quiet mistakes that turned into monumental treasures. Collectors aren't just buying a coin, they're buying a piece of British history frozen in metal. International interest has also played a major role in driving the coin's value. British coinage has long been respected worldwide, and Queen Elizabeth II's image is one of the most recognized portraits in global numismatics. Collectors from Europe, North America, and Asia have all competed to acquire this elusive penny, pushing prices higher with each confirmed sale. Auction records reveal intense bidding wars whenever a verified 1989 rare penny appears. Prices climbed steadily at first, then dramatically. What once sold for thousands jumped to hundreds of thousands, then into the millions. Each sale confirmed what experts had suspected all along. This coin was not just rare, it was legendary. Part of the mystique comes from how little documentation exists. Unlike commemorative coins or limited edition issues, the rare 1989 penny was never officially announced. Its existence relies on expert analysis, metallurgical testing, and historical research. This air of mystery has only added to its allure, making it one of the most discussed modern British pennies ever. For everyday viewers watching ultra-rare coins history, this story serves as a powerful reminder. Valuable treasures aren't always ancient or golden. Sometimes, they're small, copper, and hiding in plain sight. A coin you've ignored for years could be a silent witness to history, carrying a value that defies imagination. Collectors today continue to search for undiscovered examples. Old coin jars are emptied, inherited collections are re-examined, and estate sales are carefully combed. The possibility that another rare 1989 penny might still be out there keeps the excitement alive. Every penny checked is a chance to uncover history. And now, after decades of mystery, research, and intense competition among collectors, we arrive at the moment that has stunned the numismatic world. a confirmed, authenticated, and pristine example of the Elizabeth II 1-penny coin from 1989 has been valued at an astonishing $34 million. Yes, a single 1-penny coin, originally worth just 1 cent in everyday life, has reached a current estimated value of $34 million, making it one of the most valuable modern British coins ever recorded. Top 3. We journey into one such story, centered on a seemingly ordinary coin from the United Kingdom, the Elizabeth II 1-penny 2005. At first glance, it looks like just another penny from modern Britain. But as with many treasures, its true significance only reveals itself when you slow down, look closer, and listen to the echoes of the past pressed into metal. The year 2005 was a fascinating moment in British history. The United Kingdom was balancing tradition and change, holding firmly to centuries-old institutions while adapting to a rapidly modernizing world. Queen Elizabeth II had already become a living symbol of continuity, stability, and national identity. By 2005, she had reigned for more than 5 decades, witnessing wars, technological revolutions, cultural shifts, and the transformation of Britain's global role. Coins bearing her portrait were more than just currency. They were tiny monuments to a reign that shaped generations. The 1-penny coin itself had long been a staple of British daily life. Introduced in its modern decimal form in 1971, it was designed to be practical, durable, and familiar. Yet, even the most common objects can become extraordinary under the right circumstances. The 2005 1-penny belongs to the later era of Elizabeth II coinage, featuring a mature portrait of the Queen that reflected dignity and experience rather than youthful idealism. This portrait, created with meticulous care, captured the quiet authority of a monarch who had become deeply woven into the national consciousness. On the obverse of the coin, Queen Elizabeth II's profile faces right, a traditional direction used for British monarchs, continuing a practice that stretches back centuries. Her expression is calm and composed, almost reflective, as if aware of the immense passage of time she represents. Surrounding her image is the Latin inscription that translates to Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. These words are not merely decorative. They connect the coin to ancient traditions of monarchy, faith, and sovereignty that have defined British rule for hundreds of years. Turning the coin over reveals the reverse design that many people recognize instantly, a segment of the royal shield. By 2005, the Royal Mint had begun issuing shield designs across the penny, 2 pence, 5 pence, 10 pence, 20 pence, and 50 pence coins. Each coin displayed a different portion of the shield, and when assembled together, they formed the complete royal arms of the United Kingdom. This was a brilliant concept, blending modern design with deep historical symbolism. The 1-penny shows the lower left quadrant of the shield, representing England, with bold lines and a strong, grounded presence. The material of the 2005 1-penny is another important detail. Unlike older pennies that were struck in bronze, this coin was made of copper-plated steel. This change, introduced in the early 1990s, reflected economic and practical considerations, as copper prices rose and the Royal Mint sought a more cost-effective solution. While some collectors initially viewed this shift as a downgrade, it later became an important marker that helped distinguish different eras of British coinage. The lighter feel, magnetic properties, and subtle color differences all became part of the coin's identity. At the time of its release, millions of 2005 1-penny coins entered circulation. They jingled in pockets, paid for newspapers, and disappeared into sofa cushions. For most people, there was nothing remarkable about them. Yet collectors know that rarity is not always about low mintage alone. Sometimes it is about variations, minting anomalies, timing, and the stories that develop around certain issues. Over the years, careful examination of 2005 pennies revealed that not all were exactly the same. Subtle differences in strike quality, alignment, and plating thickness began to attract attention. Some coins displayed unusually sharp details, while others showed minor errors that escaped quality control. In the world of numismatics, such variations can transform a common coin into a coveted treasure. A slight misstrike, an off-center design, or an unusual die flaw can be enough to ignite intense interest among serious collectors. As knowledge spread through collector communities, the reputation of certain 2005 one-penny examples began to grow. Another factor contributing to the coin's rising appeal was its place in the broader narrative of Queen Elizabeth II's reign. Coins issued during her later years carry a unique emotional weight. They represent not the beginning of a reign, but its maturity, its endurance, and its remarkable length. For collectors, owning such a coin is like holding a chapter from a living history book, one that spans generations and connects the past to the present. The Royal Mint itself adds another layer of fascination. With a history stretching back over 1,000 years, it is one of the oldest continuously operating mints in the world. Every coin it produces is part of a lineage that includes medieval hammered pennies, gold sovereigns, and modern commemoratives. The 2005 one penny may be modern, but it is still a descendant of coins that once circulated in the time of kings, queens, and empires long vanished. As years passed, the humble penny began to lose its practical role in everyday transactions. Inflation reduced its purchasing power, and debates emerged about whether such low-denomination coins were still necessary. This gradual decline in everyday use added a sense of nostalgia to the penny. Coins like the 2005 issue started to feel like relics of a fading era, increasing their emotional and collectible value. Collectors around the world, from seasoned numismatists to curious newcomers, began paying closer attention. Online forums buzzed with discussions about specific batches, unusual characteristics, and pristine examples preserved in near-perfect condition. Coins graded at the highest levels, untouched by circulation, became especially desirable. The difference between a worn penny and a flawless one, struck cleanly and preserved carefully, can be astonishing in terms of value. Then there is the power of storytelling. Coins are not just metal, they are storytellers. The 2005 Elizabeth II one penny tells a story of modern Britain, of a queen who became a global icon, and of a society in transition. It speaks of technological change, economic decisions, and the enduring importance of tradition. For collectors, this narrative adds depth and meaning that goes far beyond the coin's physical form. Over time, the market responded. Rare and exceptional examples of the 2005 one penny began appearing in high-profile collections and private sales. Prices climbed steadily as demand outpaced supply. What was once overlooked became sought after, and what was once dismissed as common began to be re-evaluated with fresh eyes. The coin's reputation grew, fueled by a combination of rarity, historical significance, and collector enthusiasm. On ultra-rare coins history, we often remind viewers that true treasures are not always obvious. Sometimes, the most valuable items are the ones people ignore for years. The 2005 Elizabeth II one penny is a perfect example of this truth. It challenges our assumptions about value and reminds us that history can hide in the smallest details. As collectors competed to secure the finest examples, whispers of extraordinary valuations began circulating. Verified reports, expert appraisals, and private negotiations pushed the coin into an entirely new category. What started as a one-penny piece, worth just a fraction of a pound, transformed into a symbol of how rarity and history can redefine worth. And now, after exploring its journey from mint to market, from pocket change to prized collectible, we arrive at the moment that always leaves people stunned. The big reveal that changes how you look at every coin in your hand. Today, the most exceptional and rare examples of the United Kingdom Elizabeth II one penny 2005 are valued at an astonishing $22 million, a figure that turns an ordinary-looking penny into one of the most talked-about modern coin stories in the world.